Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're looking at Vision's Present Purple Gilded Edition from Wounded Corner. Wounded Corner, one of the best playing card sites out there, definitely worth a look, is the work of Steve. Steve, you may also know him as one half of the duo that is Deckin Around here on YouTube. Great channel, also worth a follow if you're not already a follower of them. But Steve has had in mind this idea for a deck for a long time, so he paired up with Christian Ellingstad of Arcadia playing cards to produce his very first deck that was funded highly successfully on Kickstarter. The deck comes in a multitude of different versions. At the center are the past, present, and future versions of the deck, but then there's also gilded versions of the deck, and this particular one that was exclusively released to those who backed the 3-deck deluxe box set. I know it's really confusing, but like I said, a lot of different versions of the deck, but this is one of the more exclusive versions of the deck. Only 250 of these. Like I said, initially only available to those who backed that deluxe box set. A few of them, around 100 or so, were made available for sale. And actually, if you like what you see here, there are still a few of them available up on Wounded Corner. So I'll put a link down in the description where you can go pick one of these up. But anyway, enough about the different versions of the deck and the campaign. We want to see the cards, so let's get into it. Now, Visions is really kind of a positive message to the whole deck, which is very on brand for Steve. It's kind of looking at your goals and how you achieve them, the obstacles you encounter on the way, and how you either let those obstacles stop you or you persist through them in pursuit of your goals. It's a great, positive, affirming message. And the tuck case is beautifully done. These are done by Clove St Press, some of the best tuck cases out there, always on point with their foiling and their embossing. This one, no exception. You get the big banner down the center with Visions, and then lots of filigree and artwork all the way through. Multiple colors of foil, a mixture of that silver and purple foil, and a little bit hard to see here, but the actual cardstock here is a deep, deep dark purple. But nice vibrant purple on the foil there. Love how it just sort of pops out when you tilt it in the right light. Great combination, beautiful artwork on this one, and just love the feel with that very subtle embossing all the way through. So lots to like on this one. As you turn to the sides, you get produced by Wounded Corner. Talk plenty about them. And then on the other side, designed by Arcadia Playing Cards. Christian Ellingstad, really talented artist. He did Pride of Peacocks, one of my favorite of his decks. But there you go, on the two sides. The bottom has your ad copy, mentions once again Wounded Corner and Arcadia, as well as Cardamundi, who printed the decks that we're gonna see. Top here has the pair of arrows, that arrow kind of a common motif throughout here. Arrow kind of symbolizing your journey through life. And then the back here is a foiled and slightly embossed version of the back design of the cards, done in that purple and silver, and little hits of that white foil as well. Really beautifully done. And then it finishes out with this really nice holographic postage stamp style seal. Let me zoom in here. Very fine details, but it's an image of Ganesh, the elephant god from Indian culture. Beautifully drawn on in here. And you can see it's numbered out of 250 and mentions that it's the gilded edition. Now, interestingly, it's a shame I didn't see this before the seal was already cut, but this is a little bit of an unfortunate detail, and one that I'm glad that Steve addressed. So with the seal, you see here, like, you have to cut right through Ganesh in order to get to the seal. And after a while, he kind of saw that as potentially a little bit disrespectful to the religion. And so he posted something on Instagram talking about how you can and should peel the seal rather than cutting through it. So love that touch, love the attention to, and the sort of respect for that detail he added in there. Something I really wish I'd seen without the seal being cut. So bit of a shame, but glad he addressed it. So that is the outside of the tuck case. Inner flaps here, just some small little details. You can see that nice little bit of like kind of pearlescent shine there on the tuck cases themselves. And then on the larger inner flap here, you get a nice little quote, "Work is love made visible," by Khalil Gibran. Khalil Gibran is a Lebanese-American writer and poet. And so this comes from his most famous work called The Prophet. A great little saying there. Interior of the tuck case features some beautiful, beautiful interior printing as well, all foiled all the way down, that really nice sort of tiled pattern that continues all the way through the tuck case. So very nice job on the tuck case. Love the purple colors that are used on this one. Just really think it's well done. All right, then on to the back design. And plenty of foil in the tuck case and continues through to the cards as well. These are done in a mixture of purple and silver foil, and I love the purple color they're able to achieve. Kind of mixing that purple bright foil along with that texture, that unique texture that you get from Cartamundi cards. This gives you a really fantastic shine on this one. Super clean work. The center design done with the two arrows pointing to the top and bottom. These little half circles at the top and bottom here that sort of represent your end goal. So the arrows pointing your journey through to your end goal. And then everything around here, just a sort of cacophony of different bits of filigree and different patterns all the way around. Really beautiful design here, and love the line work that's done throughout this. It's a really kind of harmonious design. It's not overly busy, and yet still really distinctive and stand out with that super bright color. Finishes out with one of the thinnest poker borders that I've ever seen. There is a white border, but there is barely a white border to it. And that purple foil that you see here also matches beautifully with the purple gilding on the side of the deck. Super bright purple gilding that matches great with that foil overall, and just gives you that great shine to the entire deck. So there's the back design, and of course the gilding. But now we get onto the cards. And we'll start out with the Diptych Joker. All done in super brilliant multicolored foil here. I gotta get it in the right light just so you can see all the details. I mean, I don't know how many colors of foil. You've got the yellow, the green, the brown, the blue, that sort of tan color. Just multiple colors of foil to create this beautiful mountain scene, and features a pair of characters that kind of sort of tell the story of the deck. These are Vizzy and Vidi, or maybe it's Vidi and Vizi, not sure which ones. But Vizzy, the first character, represents or kind of only feels the more positive emotions like joy and tranquility, while Vidi is more focused on negative emotions like anxiety and despair. And the two don't know each other, but independently they decided to embark on a quest of self-discovery throughout the land. And so you see them kind of departing on their own separate journeys as they go throughout their paths in life, searching for more. But after a time, they find themselves at this river that you see here, that brilliant blue foil river. And when they find themselves at that river, they're staring at their reflections. And in that moment, the two discover the contrast of their own worldviews, and they kind of discover the positive and the negative, the yin and the yang. And they decide to start journeying together instead. So you can flip the jokers, so it still matches up, but this time the two of them have sort of joined together and are embarking on their own journey. And they use their own opposing perspectives to strengthen each other and to bring about their own true growth. It's a really cool story to it overall, and I love the foil in this one. It's really hard to get on camera. You can probably see as I tilt it in certain lights, it looks a little bit dark. I get it in the other lights, you can see that color pop out. I like what's done here, and this is one that, just trust me on this one, looks fantastic in person, even if it can kind of get a little bit dark in some lights when you get it on camera. But great story to it, that mixture of how positive and negative feelings can kind of come together to make us who we are. So that's the story of the Jokers, and in a way, the story of the entire deck. Your other two extra cards include this silver foiled card that has a few different sort of inspirational quotes on them. Things like stay your path and keep your vision. All done in silver foil. The foil in this deck, by the way, is just insane. Every single card features almost over the top amounts of foil. All right, and then you get a little bit of a key card. We'll see this come into play as we get into the court cards in the deck. But this tells you a little bit about the symbols that we're going to see referred to on the court cards, as well as the emotions that they refer to. And you'll see as you go through this, the black cards tend to represent more positive emotions like love and joy, acceptance and creativity, whereas the red ones are the more negative, like hate or anxiety. So we'll see more about those as we get into the court cards. All right, then on to the aces, and we start with the ace of spades. Absolutely the power ace, and a truly beautiful ace. Designed by Arcadia, as you can see in the banner there at the bottom, and he did a phenomenal job with this one. Once again, using multiple colors of foil. You'll see reds, little bits of blue, the silver, the gold, to form this beautiful image of Ganesh. Same one that we saw on the tuck seal. Love the detailing on this one. And Ganesh is the remover of obstacles. That's sort of the significance in culture. And so a very fitting symbol in talking about your journey through life and the obstacles you encounter. Beautiful artwork on this. Love the detail in that large spade pip that sort of frames Ganesh up there. And then in the corners, you get these pips and indices done in kind of an Arabic style. Kind of reminds me of like the Arabesque or the Moresque decks from Lautrec, if you've ever seen those, but kind of that style. Simpler pip and then the little arrows to kind of give you a little bit of extra framing on the index in the corner. And of course, like everything else, plenty of foil. So these are all lined with a little bit of foil as well. The other three aces kind of go with a very different style, much simpler style, almost a completely different art style from the ace of spades, which is interesting. Whereas this one's very highly detailed. These take a much simpler tack and are kind of a more shaded drawing style. Interesting approach to kind of go with the different art styles throughout here, but still a beautiful trio of aces, each representing deities from Egyptian culture, done in a mixture of that red foil, little bits of silver and gold as well. Ace of Diamonds here represents Set, who's the god of chaos, and he represents what's called a Set animal. It's not a particular type of animal, so they just call it the Set animal in Egyptian culture. So there's the diamond Set representing chaos. For the club here, we have the cow goddess Hathor, who represents love and fertility. Love that red spot there on the headpiece. And finally, the Ace of Hearts. This one I really like. This is the lion goddess Bastet, a goddess of war. But very cool one. I like this one a lot. This is one of my favorites. So there's your other three aces. So some deities represented on here. As we get into the number cards, these take a little bit simpler of an approach. These are custom pips by Arcadia, but they're kind of fairly standard looking, very familiar, kind of a more bulbous shape with the smaller stem, but nothing too out of the ordinary. They are lined in little bits of silver foil that you can see there. Once again, putting foil into pretty much every aspect of the deck that we can here, but pretty standard layout, nothing too special. You get that font and index in the corners and then the little arrow, but otherwise familiar number cards, suitable for gameplay and things like that. You do get red foil lined with silver on the red cards, so even more foil. Foil all over this deck, just so much of it. It's such a shiny deck. And then into the hearts. All right, then we get to the court cards, and you guessed it, more foil. These are fully foiled court cards, which is brilliant and almost distracting at the same time. There's so much going on. So on the plus side, I love the colors he's able to achieve on these. You'll see the teals and the golds. Once again, mixing in multiple colors of foil to create these really vibrant court cards that just absolutely shine with color. On the other side, though, it's one of those things where, and you'll see this a lot of them going through the review, you tilt it the wrong way, suddenly everything looks dark. You get it tilted the other way and those bright colors pop out. So this is one of those you really have to see in person to appreciate some of the beauty on these. But I do like these a lot. You'll see that art style, much kind of cleaner art style. Interestingly, going now with almost a third art style. So you have that super ornate ace of spades, then you have that sort of more shaded look that you get on the other aces, and then this one, a much flatter, vibrant color version on the courts. So interesting with the three different art styles. I would have liked that to be a little bit more cohesive personally, but I do like the story that's told through these. So let's get into them. Like I said, each one of these is going to represent a different emotion of some sort. The black cards, more positive emotions, the red cards, more negative, and little symbols on each that sort of give you that feel of the emotion. So starting with the spades here, you get the jack representing joy, and you get that little blue jay there on his finger, and that sort of serene look on his face. The queen of spades here with the white lotus flower in her hands represents humility. And then the king of spades represents love, represented with that dual arrow in his hand, kind of reminding you of Cupid or something like that. But really nice look to these, that silver foil background. Another one of those things that, I don't know, kind of borders on, I can't decide if it's distracting or amazing to me. Maybe it's just a little bit of both. All right, now turning to a few more negative emotions with the diamonds. We start with the jack of diamonds representing procrastination. You'll see the little pocket watch is sort of the symbol there. I love these, even got that 5 o'clock shadow, like he's put off shaving for a day. Something I can definitely relate to. All right, then the queen of diamonds. This is anxiety, and of course you can see that, quite literally, that anxious look on her face. By the way, this is one where you can really see come to life. I love the different cultures that he works into the decks. Sometimes you'll see some of the characters more European, more Asian. This one kind of coming from that Indian subcontinent. Just love the different representations and the sort of multiple worldview that you see throughout the deck. This is one you can see, by the way, if you look really carefully, it's hard to pick out. Let me zoom in here so you can really see it. There is actually a very slight pattern to that silver background design. Very, very slight, but it is definitely hard to see on the deck overall. Between the texturing that Cartamundi applies and that bright silver foil, kind of lose a little bit of that detail. All right, then on to the King of Diamonds. This is Judgment, and of course he's got the scales in his hand, that classic symbol of judgment. All right, going to the clubs, we start with the Jack of Clubs. This is creativity. Of course, the quill in hand, ready to write a poem, write a book, whatever it is that comes to mind. Queen of Clubs with that yin-yang in her hand represents tranquility. So everything in balance with yin and yang. She even has that incense stick in her hand as well. And then the King of Clubs with the open book in his hands representing acceptance. Very nice on this one. I like this card. This is a good one. All right, and then on to the hearts. So the Jack of Hearts, this was actually the very first of any of the cards that I ever saw preview way before the campaign was even launched, but I saw this Jack of Hearts with that black rose in hand representing the emotion of despair. So the black rose, a symbol of despair, because we're back to the more negative emotions with the hearts. And then the Queen of Hearts representing ego, quite literally looking at herself in the mirror. And finally, the King of Hearts representing hate, and that spider on the shoulder sort of serves as his symbol of hate. And there you go, that is the deck. Beautiful use of foil throughout, super bright colors on the foil. To me, maybe a little bit over the top with the use of foil, but if you're a fan of foil decks, there is so much to like. You will get more than your share of it. Now, despite the foil usage throughout here, Cartamundi always does a phenomenal job with these. So these maintain that super thin feel that you get with that slimline stock from Cartamundi, and they handle really nicely as well. Even with the gilded and the foiling, everything is super smooth in terms of handling, and with that thin border, just really pops out nicely. But anyway, that is it. That is the Visions Present Purple Gilded Edition from Wounded Corner. Great job for a very first deck. I think congratulations to Steve on the deck. Like I said, if you like this, or if you want to check out the many other versions of Visions that are out there, I'll put a link down in the description below. You can go out to Wounded Corner. There's still several of them available, and so go get one for yourself. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews and unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.